Hello.
Hello, everybody. All right.
Hello.
We are here live today. We are broadcasting on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, as well as everyone can follow along the action in Discord. So pretty much everywhere. Today, we are doing a special Fireside Chat. So I am Ryan, the CEO of the Virtual Athletics League, the founder here. And I'll be moderating this one. Have two pretty awesome guests today. Also very skilled space pirate trainer, my space pirate trainer nemesis, Mr. Adam Draper himself, first place winner, Boost VC of that tournament. And then we got Chris Hanney from iIllusions, creator of Space Pirate Trainer. And so I'm going to just kick it off. If you guys just want to introduce yourselves, what's your background? How did we get here in this moment? And just, looking forward to chatting today.
I'm really excited. So I guess I could have let Chris go first, and I decided to go first, so I just stepped in. Is that okay, Chris? You good with that?
You go for it. You're really excited, remember?
I'm just ready to jump in. Adam Draper, founder and managing director of Boost VC. We are the accelerator for sci-fi tech. We invest $500K into every deal that we do, and we do about 20 deals a year. However, we are also we take sci-fi technologies, one of them being virtual reality, and we sort of gather together all of the people who are building in that network. And so we've invested in about 70 to 80 virtual reality related startups. In the fitness world, we have invested in Virtual Athletics League, FitXR, and YUR. And so we're very, very deep there. We love fitness. I mean, that was a surprise, I would say, like that fitness was going to be one of the killer apps of virtual reality, but it has been. And then my favorite game is actually Space Pirate Trainer. And so I'm so excited to be on a panel with Chris. So thank you.
Yeah, this is the legendary panel because let's think about like 2015, right? Space Pirate Trainer was one of the original launch titles for the HTC Vive.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam, probably will circle back to what you said about VR fitness and all this kind of being a surprise. But I think Chris, you've talked about before where Space Pirate Trainer was a game that you guys like to play, right? Like you just made something you like to do.
So Dirk Van Welden, our founder, is passionate about making experiences that he wants to experience. And that has permeated throughout the company. We're still a small team, but we're all very passionate about making things that we personally want to do. And so it's very unlikely that we'll release a spreadsheet application anytime soon.
Right.
So yeah, the games that we make and the experiences that we do are generally ones that bring us personally joy. And Space Pirate Trainer came from that, experiencing room scale for the first time before we could just get a game off the Quest store or from Steam. We made our own room scale experiment and kept on running with it, and it's still a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, what was that like? I think I've heard legends of the basement Boost VC, like the HTC Vive came in, right, and just trying that VR for the first time. I mean, what was really your guys' first experience in VR, and what memories do you have from like 2015, just both of you in VR space?
Well, yeah, 2015, I sort of feel I guess, where are we? 2015 was still exciting. It was like 2017, 2018, where it was like everyone forgot about VR for a little bit. So those were the dark days. But 2015, the Vive was launched, the Rift was launched, like there was actually a platform in which you could use this stuff. So there's a resurgence of excitement. I would say my first experience period was on a Samsung Gear. It was watching Transformers on the Moon. And I thought I was like, yeah, this is going to be a thing.
Yeah. I think that was actually legit. That was my very first experience too. Like I put on a Samsung Gear VR and it was the Transformers trailer. It was at Best Buy.
And you weren't even, you couldn't do anything, but it transported you in this way that I'd never really been transported. So I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely gonna be a thing. Is it ready? And, it took a little longer than I expected, but in general, what I love about virtual reality is the ecosystem is so passionate. I mean, even Chris was referencing like you love building these games that you want to play. Like that's the entire virtual reality ecosystem to me, are these builders who just want to build amazing things. And that's been able to sort of make it a lasting journey. It's evolved a lot. But 2015, I mean, I think that's 2015, 2016 is when I really picked up Space Pirate Trainer. So I think was it launched in 2015?
So before someone in the comments yells at us, all of this happened in 2016. So
2016.
Yeah, correct.
I thought 5 years might've been too many years. So
yeah, we're almost getting to the half decade. But Space Pirate Trainer was launched with the HTC Vive in April 2016. And so probably the first time you played it may have been in January when we first announced it, 2016, and sometime from then on. But yeah, my first VR experiences go back to the 90s. I remember playing, we talked about it in our last panel, and I mispronounced it then. Was it Dactyl Nightmare?
Dactyl Nightmare. Funny fact, you can actually play Dactyl Nightmare today on the Rift.
Right.
Like it's on the Rift store and it's called Polygon Nightmare. Like is it
Polygon Nightmare? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have
as an homage to
yeah, who knows the copyright issues?
I remember in the 90s just finding this whole concept just so mind melding that didn't touch VR again until room scale hit, and we played with the early Vive prototypes, and that was just so amazing, and it still is amazing every time I find an experience that pushes somewhere new. I'm still overwhelmed by it. So it was just this year that we first played Alex for the first time, Half-Life Alex, and every moment of that experience was so overwhelmingly good, just like it was brand new tech again. So I'm still excited about the possibilities of new things, just amazing us still.
Yeah, I love that, because basically, VR keeps on pushing that bar higher, right? Like I tried the Samsung Gear VR. I was blown away by that. It wasn't even 6 degrees of freedom, right? And I was like, wow, this is so cool. This is the future. And then, I see Beat Saber and mixed reality. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like this next milestone, right? And then you see games that are like top tier, like Half-Life Alyx, that just continue to push that boundary, right? So it's definitely the sci-fi future is looking pretty good for VR at the moment.
Well, this is also like the most fun stage because people are creating the standards. VR, virtual reality was not born with certain standards, so it's like I actually, to give Space Pirate Trainer a little more credit, a lot of the things that are in a lot of the apps now that are standards were created originally by Space Pirate Trainer, like. The feel of the vibrations in I remember Dirk telling me that he was just obsessive about like making sure it felt like a gun, like when it blasts, when it does all that stuff. And then a lot of people borrowed that sort of vibe. And then also just like basic things like the lasers coming through you, knowing where the laser's coming from. Like a lot of people, like that was a problem. You never knew how you died. And so like it got adopted across all the games. So like, I love this phase of the first sort of 10 years of a new technology because everyone is creating those standards of what is good and what is not. And like, it's really fun to see what gets adopted and what doesn't. And I'm sure that, there is a graveyard of like things that didn't work. Like moving the camera too much doesn't work well.
There's some motion sickness there.
We've mostly moved away from that. Not completely, but mostly we've moved away from that.
Yeah, I think Space Pirate Trainer was super foundational, right? Just like Adam, like what you said, and lots of things are later games, that people just first experienced Space Pirate Trainer. Chris, I think at launch, like Space Pirate Trainer was like on 70% of headsets. Or something like that.
At launch, we had I couldn't tell you the stats now, but it was a pretty close one-to-one relationship early on. But that's because it was a really easy to market game. You just saw someone playing it and you wanted to play it too.
Yeah.
I still see people playing it on YouTube and think I should play Space Pirate Trainer. It's been a couple of hours. It's a really easy to understand experience. And that comes down to the small details like this, the sounds you're talking about, the feel of the lasers coming out just had to go at the right speed, had to feel the right weight, and they had to have the same right just oomph. They had to feel awesome.
The other thing you guys did was the behind the back, like pulling out.
That was pretty revolutionary as well.
I still remember Dirk telling me, Chris, just try putting a gun behind your shoulder and pulling out a shield. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it just instantly was just so natural that man comes up with some of the craziest stuff that just works.
It was so like the first time you did it was so cool, and then once you mastered it, it was like, yeah, I'm awesome.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm ready to fight a dragon.
Once you've played Space Pirate Trainer for half an hour, you know you're awesome.
Yeah,
you get that little badge. That should be like a Oculus achievement, right? You know you're awesome.
Yeah, you just feel it.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I you know, there is one Easter egg that I was told about in Space Pirates Trainer. The first robot who comes out, and I'm telling whoever else is watching, the first robot doesn't attack you. And so, like, really, what's funny is like everyone just goes, "Oh, I have a gun. I'm going to shoot at this robot." And so, but if you wait like 4 minutes, the screen pops up that like shows you all the rewards and the like accomplishments you've done, like or what you're supposed to be doing. So it's like a hidden wall. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Well, that first unshooting droid came down just to making players feel at home with their virtual space, but then it became this running joke that there's now an achievement to win the game of Space Pirate Trainer. Just don't shoot the first droid.
Don't shoot it.
Yeah.
I can testify to that because, you know, we'll put people in the arcade, and I got an arcade question here in just a bit, but like some people were so blown away by just the drone. They just stood there and they didn't know they could shoot it. And they're just like standing there for 5 minutes. They're like, wow.
It's just moving around.
Well, they deserve to win the game. They deserve it.
And they get the first award, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is a question for Adam also as well. So I think you may hold the record as, you know, a VC investor of having invested earlier and in more VR fitness / athletics, you know, companies than anybody else. I think off the top of my head, there's YUR, FitXR, things like that. You know, you mentioned that was a surprise about VR fitness. Like, I mean, what was your first reaction, and how do you think that VR fitness has evolved over time?
Well, I think that the first person who actually pitched me straight fitness, saying like, we are going to be a fitness VR company, because there are a lot of things like Space Pirate Trainer where you broke a sweat, right? But like someone who actually pitched me fitness is going to be the biggest thing in VR was FitXR, Sam Cole, and Samir, and they basically, which their product is Box VR on the Quest and every other platform, and they when they said it, you know, when you're an investor, you try to hear the things that are analogous, like a little different, like different
thinkers, right? Than anybody said before.
You try to hear, and it is in your ears. You have to hear the thing and how they're talking about it differently than the rest of the market. Like the rest of the market was saying gaming, basically. I mean, like that was, which still is. And if you had done that, great, like it's going well. But they said fitness is at our core. We're going to try to become the biggest fitness gym, like all this stuff. And I was like, that's fascinating. Like I hadn't thought of this, but then I started brainstorming that world forward. And right now, when you think of gamers, you think sort of, I mean, at least when I was younger and I was a gamer, like you think like geeky kid who is playing games. In the future, that whole concept is going to be flipped on its head, where like you're going to be like, that's a gamer, and they're going to be like jacked,
ripped. Yeah,
like,
they'll just be like, at the gym.
They've been in their games for 8 straight hours training, you know, and so I bought into that, and then really, I always think I just invest in great people who I enjoy being around, and I think like all of those teams are people who I just enjoy being around. Like, and Six and Dylan at YUR, they like represent what VR fitness should be all about. They are very, very strong, fit humans.
Six is the marketing picture, I think, for the original YUR, right? He's pretty jacked on that one.
We make fun of his first pitch deck because it was just pictures of him
with no shirt,
with no shirt on.
Well, very good. I'm thinking, because that's, you know, even for myself, you know, this year I'd lost like maybe 25 pounds or so, like just doing VR fitness. And, I tried, right? In lockdown, it was very healthy for me. But, you know, we had always, at the Virtual Athletics League, we'd always had this vision of like VR athletes, and we chose that name very purposely. I think that was sort of like in our first pitch deck, right? I think we had Space Pirate Trainer and some athletes in our first pitch deck that we presented to you, Adam. But here we are 5 minutes later, or like 4 or 5 years later from like VR's first onset, and we have like Supernatural, right? Like with coaches, we have Beat Saber did Fitbeat. We got Box VR, this is now renamed like FitXR for the Quest, right? And not that. Well, Bill Gates probably saw the pandemic coming, right? But everybody else is kind of caught like blindsided by this, right? But people have been using VR for fitness.
That was also something that was just happening. Like whenever people shared on Twitter or social media about VR, it was about how in Space Pirates Trainer I lost 10 pounds, or in in this game I lost weight, and so there was something there. There was some voodoo, and so. I mean, to your point about the pandemic, like this fast forwarded us. I've heard someone say it was the great accelerator. Like basically we were pulled 5 years forward for these digital tools.
For
like
VR.
Everything was pulled 5 years forward. And suddenly VR had a moment, like it is having a moment, in my opinion, where people, investors, all the like are, this is my favorite thing that happened during the pandemic. One of my favorite things. And the Burning Man couldn't happen, right? So Burning Man could not happen. So their answer was doing it in virtual reality. I had never heard someone rationally explain VR as the obvious solution to something. Like that was the first time where like a huge organization decided rationally like virtual reality is the answer to this. And like it like blew my mind how like casual that conversation was. I was like, oh my gosh, VR is like it's in the thought process now, like around the world, where people just like use it as the answer.
Yeah, because this has been kind of a crazy year, right? Like I think Chris, maybe you're a little safer there in Belgium.
It's chaos everywhere, but yes, it's has been a year that we did not see coming for sure.
Yeah, what a pandemic year! Because I think Adam, like the boost, or the Bay Area, like the sky is orange, right?
Yeah, the sky is on fire. No, it's like we have. I mean, the orange sky was eerie, and it was also like quiet, and it felt like it was nighttime for a whole 24 hours. So it was like weird. It was like,
yeah. I think I biked in Verzum, which is another. We'll be talking with that founder later today. But like when it was too smoky outside, even here in Utah, I like put on the Verzum bike because I couldn't bike outside, right? And hopefully we don't totally reach the dystopian future of Ready Player One, where everybody's living in trailer stacks and there's bandits on the highways. And VR continues to improve. Hopefully we see a more utopian Star Trek type future than Ready Player One.
We're really hoping that like very soon we get back to a utopia. Like part of our 2020 plan prior to March happening was to push forward with Space Pirate Arena, our follow-up game, which is very much at its core running. Right, it's a game of hide and seek, running around hallways, ducking, diving, but it's also about co-location. So it's about sharing spaces with people, which has not been the easiest thing to talk about in 2020.
Oh, for sure. Super tough.
And so, we're really hoping that we can get back to the place where we're out of our trailer stacks and back onto tennis courts and basketball fields playing sports together.
So that actually, Chris, maybe read my mind, but that kind of leads into the next question. So, I mean, early on, Virtualities, I got the Virtualities poster behind me here with our production, Nathan. We were like the only regular kind of like room scale arcade, I think, to make it in TechCrunch. They did a feature on us and other stuff. But then Lucas Matney from TechCrunch, he says, the pandemic has probably killed VR arcades for good, right? Was the title of his most recent article. But there's some arcades in China, Asia, especially EU, that are now open. VR arcades probably aren't dead for forever, right? And then the founder of Hologate, he shared some statistics saying like, hey, we've seen so many minutes this month. We're almost back to pre-pandemic. Undoubtedly a super tough year for arcades, especially in Americas, right? Like maybe 70, 90% like declines, right? But Chris, you mentioned Space Pirate Trainer. What do you think VR arcades 2.0 might look like? You mentioned arena stuff. You talk about this, is it bring your own device? Is it arenas? What's going to be 2.0?
If there's a 2.0, which there possibly could be. Like, it's still a question mark what happens from now on. But I do believe there definitely is a next wave of arcades coming, built around experiences that you cannot do at home. And a lot of the first wave was built around stuff that you could do at home, but it was expensive. And I do believe the next wave will be about stuff that you want to do, like you can't and can't, such as arena scale environments, things that you can play with multiple people in one room, sports, like big scale sports, stuff that is currently impossible to do in your basement.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, what do you think about that? You often think about the future as well. I mean, do you think there might be like a bring your own device as people just own headsets at home and then they show up all together, like 10, free roam standalone headset users? I mean, you think that might be possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible in the next like 10 years. Like next year, there are just not enough headsets that are out there. Like, I think they're only still like, I mean, for good consumer grade headsets, it's like, $1 million, $2 million, something like that. So my answer to are arcades dead? No. And the reason is for distribution of experience. Like, basically until like there are no, maybe there should have been, but there are no arcades for like iPhones, right? Like there's no, like we all have iPhones. They got directly to us. The iPhone got to us and we were just able to play all those experiences. And no one ever really figured out the collaborative stuff. But when you are yourself, there are sports you can play. Like the reason that communities have basketball gyms, like why the reason that communities have parks, the reason that like we are social creatures. We want to go to people. And so I think that for the foreseeable, also, have you guys watched the video game documentary Game Over?
Yeah.
No. Is it called?
I've had it suggested to me like 10 times. High Score, I think, is just on Netflix too. Yeah.
Game Over, man, is another hilarious movie, but way different. Don't watch it with the same thought in mind. It's an amazing movie. You should watch it.
Noted.
The funniest movie I've seen because I wasn't ready for it. But the High Score, they talked about sort of the adoption of arcades and how people needed new things to be coming back and like how to. And so then there were companies that built like these mods onto Pac-Man and mods onto all these things. Like that is sort of what the arcades are going to be for. But eventually, hopefully, we can get the experience of an arcade to home. Like, I think that's the end goal in like 10, 15 years where you feel the same way at home while you're hanging out with someone as when you're in the arcade. But until then, it's just better to be with people, like it's better.
Oh yeah. In real life is really good. Right. That's something I've missed this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like,
you guys just miss hanging with people like this.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm much more patient with conversations. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but when I am in a conversation in real life, IRL, I feel like I'm okay with the silence. I'm okay with talking. Like, I just want to hang.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the dream.
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking of like Oculus Connect 6. That was so rad. Chris, met you at GDC. Good times. Yeah, I guess, and we'll move on to our next question here too. But, Chris, I know you with Nathy, for example, you performed like a ton of jumps to get that scene just right for Space Pirate Arena, right?
Right.
Maybe there's an opportunity, and I know it's been kind of tough, right? But maybe there's an opportunity even in the short term for VR arcades to pick up something like that, or medium term at least, right? Like
I have no doubt going forward, like very soon, once people are comfortable leaving their house, because it comes down to a health risk as well, like
which is going to happen. Like,
yeah, for sure. COVID will be a thing of the past. Like it was a thing that was brought up to me in the last panel we had, and I reacted in tears. But it will be a thing of the past soon, whether that be months or days or heaven forbid longer. We will have a moment where we leave the house and are comfortable sharing spaces again, and for sure VR will be a part of that. I can't wait to show more people Space Pirate Arena. I cannot wait. It is so much fun. It is so much fun to just run around and zap each other in these unbelievable environments with bouncing bullets around the room. It is chaos, and it is still so much fun to play. And we can't wait to get it out to people's hands. It's just we don't know how, but it'll happen.
I mean,
Sweet.
yeah. I mean,
on that list.
in the way you're talking about it, like I actually think VR arcades might be the next thing, the next wave of things.
For example, Space Pirate Arena is not a game that I can play in my house.
Yeah,
I have to go to our custom arcade, which is our office, to play it because I don't have enough room here to run around. Like I want to run around here, but like I can touch my ceiling. It's just here. And I can, my wall is there, and I might look like I'm on a big space platform, but I'm actually in a very small room.
You know, listening to the back to like where my job is listening for the thing that's a little off. Like that would be a hot take on the market, is that VR arcades are the next wave of virtual reality. Like that, because everyone thinks, to some, Lucas Montney said they're probably all done. Like the hot take would be like, it's ready for the next chapter, and it's actually going to drive so much growth in the market. Like, and that makes sense to me. I think that makes sense. It's going to, because we need more people aware of what is possible in virtual reality. It's like we need marketing. We need I think of the market as an industry together, and we just need good experiences that people are having fun in, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think just talking about in real life stuff, and that contrarian take is pretty great, right? Because people who have contrarian takes often end up being right, just like what you said.
Yeah, everyone's right on a timeline. Like on some timeline, everyone's right. Like
15 years,
it's definitely not right tomorrow.
Right.
But it might be right in 6 months, and it might be right in 2 years. But yes,
yeah. Because I remember back in 2018, the legendary Boost VC Space Pirate Trainer tournament, where we just got the portfolio companies. We got Little Caesars Pizza.
Yeah,
I took second. Adam, you took first. It was hard fought.
I sort of taught some people some moves. Like I had figured out how to basically be incredible just with the whips.
Yeah, you did school everybody.
The gravity gun had just come into effect. Like you guys just launched it, and so I was really good with them. Like there are a couple sort of cheating things that you can sort of do with them.
I remember that. I was like, Adam's going to use these gravity guns. I was big on the grenades, right?
Right.
But I think, Chris, the ultimate player, uses like the lasers, right? He charges it up.
You have to use everything. It's very important that like especially love watching Dirk Van Welden playing. Like he
switches all the time. Yeah,
he can't keep still. He has a particular weapon for every single droid.
So the reason that I play the way I do is I talked to one of the top 3 space pirate trainers around that time, which was in 2017 probably.
Yeah, no.
And they said that the only way they can do it was with the rail guns, and I sucked with the rail guns. So I was like, I have to get good with the rail guns. I have to stop using these grenades, and and then the whips came in. I was like, I get this. This is awesome.
You have to play whips. Whips is the most fun way to play it. So that's why.
This conversation is just making me feel like we should have had the whole conversation in Space Pirate Trainer. Like we should.
Oh my god, we should.
Space Pirate Arena.
Yeah.
Next fitness summit, the Winter Games.
We'll be in the arena, and we'll just be like killing each other. And like
it is a very good place to do an interview.
Yeah, because
like, I don't know if you saw the YouTube video Nathi VR did with us. This was back in March. He came to our studio in Belgium, and I ran around for a long time playing Space Pirate Arena, and it was a surprisingly fun way to share a space doing an interview in VR.
Oh, that's amazing, actually.
Yeah. For everybody who doesn't know, I'm going to drop that into our chat. So on Twitch and on Facebook, YouTube, so people can find this later as this is pre-recorded, or this is live, but also people can catch this recorded later. So yeah, I mean, Space Pirate Trainer and VR. I remember the first memes that came out about VR was that it was like kind of like an anti-social experience. But even stuff like leaderboards, Oculus has like a new challenges thing. Adam, when we did the pizza party, like it was like this cool social moment, right? And you're like, I think that was the insight you took, right? Is this a social experience?
Yeah, it like Space Pirate Trainer the tournament was so great because of all of the people. I think humans are naturally competitive, and people pretend not to be. Like that's my theory. When people say they're not competitive, they just don't like losing so badly that they're actually the most competitive people. and it's just like they haven't spent enough time to like master it, sort of thing. Like they can't fathom losing, and so they're like, no, I'm not competitive. Like I don't want to. I've experieed this recently.
Very true. Very true.
There's your hot take number 2 for the day.
Oh yeah, no, I'll just hot take all day. Like this isn't like non-competitive. But what I realized is when everyone's in a room competitive, even though they're not necessarily all masters and they all have a shot at it, there's something about talking about making mistakes in the game after playing was like the fun.
Like the recap, right? Like I remember that. Yeah.
The recap was like the fun part. Like there was pizza, we're recapping, and I'm like, hey, like this is what you probably should have done, like in that situation. And like, like that was the fun part. The fun part was like you come together after the fact and you're like, oh God, I missed I don't know how I died that early or whatever. It was like, yeah, I will say it. VR tournaments are really fun in person, like in person. They're really fun.
For sure. So I'm thinking, this year, we've had obviously this is the VR Fitness Summit, right? We had around like 720 people sign up. Our original goal was like 400, had like a $25,000 prize pool. I think a record for an online event for VR. So, done well, right? But it still feels like early, right? Like, it's not the Olympics yet, right? For VR Esports, and I say that as like the founder of the league, right? And I guess to ask both of you, like, what would it take to get to a hypothetical future where you got like a packed stadium of like 50,000 fans in real life or not, Oculus venues or not, like an arena, watching something like original Space Pirate Trainer or Space Pirate Arena? Like, what do you think we need to do to get to that moment?
From my side, I can't imagine a stadium being full of people watching someone playing VR, but I can imagine a stadium worth of people in VR watching VR. So I think the future of large-scale VR esports will be most likely be in the game.
Selling tickets.
Just imagine
would be
so cool.
Like, just think back to what you were talking before about what was that festival? Burning Man. Right?
Yeah,
Burning Man, I don't know how many tens of thousands of people logged into Alt Space 2 weeks ago, but it was a lot. And that sort of experience currently limited inside a couple of social games like Alt Space, a VR chat. But once that can be taken to a platform and then games can be played inside that platform, it's going to be amazingly huge. And so I can see that being a really good space for tournament modes, just getting enough people, because I can't imagine, I mean, it might happen, but physical people in a space. I mean, I can't see.
So you're leaning towards virtual for sure as that arena.
Totally.
Yeah.
That'll be the first place that it gets big. Whether or not there's enough local people to rival a football team, I can't imagine that happening. It's a very 20th century sort of concept of people going to a place to watch a thing happen, but virtually.
Although it'd be pretty cool to have you like you're saying, like you do need at least the place where they can be doing it, right? Like they need the big warehouse, but then everything else could be completely
all the broadcasting, all the production, all the audience,
like all that. It's almost like a separate game that's hooked onto it. Like
sure.
That's interesting. I love that.
The best way to watch most VR games is within VR. Like the best way to watch Beat Saber is mixed reality, or if you could just be a second pair of headset looking at it. The virtual camera concept can be easily adapted, well, not easily, but can be adapted to another viewer. So the idea of putting a person inside the VR game, who was doing that? Startup in LA was doing that for a long time. V-Real.
Yep. Yeah, V-Real. Yeah, they did close down. I think they're pretty niche and early, right? But
that's
then
the thing. Like it's still a really hard problem. The concept is simple. The problem to solve it is hard.
Also, I mean, I not to be an investor and think about market size, but our market size is still early. Like it's just I think the main thing we need is more people to have experienced VR to care about a VR sport, which would lead us to sort of that audience. And so we need, the number of people. I'd say probably 10 10 to 15 million people on the planet have actually tried okay VR, right? Like somewhere on the spectrum of good. But like we need it to be probably 100 million before it's like tried, not even have headsets. It's probably 10 million headsets, 100 million people have tried it. And or VR arcades are everywhere is the other option. And that will lead to almost celebrities who are playing specific games, like it did with Twitch. Like you start to have these celebrities, then those people start to specialize on teams for specific sports. It's video games is a good analogy. Like I think we just need enough people who care. I also think that we should start getting cities to build arenas.
Yes.
Let's do that.
So rad.
Let's do that.
I have a game ready for you. Okay,
let's do that because we have this in San Mateo, and Ryan knows this. We have this baseball field that is used. Well, this year was used 0,
right?
But like even in previous years, it's used. I've only ever seen it be used. It's a great stadium, great space. I don't know, 10 times, and I've been working there for 8 years. Like, and so I'm like, this is wasted city space. What if there was something here, gaming or VR, if we're trying to build the future wise, where suddenly it's like a fitness center for VR, like hardcore VR trainers, and then like people will watch them from like a fishbowl. That'd be awesome. That's what I want.
It could be, right? And then watch it, broadcast it.
Well,
right.
I just poo-pooed the idea of going to watch VR, but the idea of watching a bunch of people running around doing crazy stuff and physically exerting themselves could be very, very interesting.
Oh yeah, and physically, and then seeing that and being like, well, maybe I should try it. It's sort of like the ball machine, like where you see everyone hitting baseballs, and then you're like, well, maybe I should go hit some baseballs. Like I think that I think we need government involved. Let's start getting cities to think, hey, I want to
stimulus package for VR. There we go.
I want to jump forward. Not even gaming. I want VR gaming athletics in my city.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
So thinking to like 2020, right? Like people are still like finding Space Pirate Trainer today, right? Like Chris, that's one of the demos when somebody gets an Oculus Quest, right?
Yeah.
And 11 table tennis right now, I think like 91% of the users are in the Oculus ecosystem, and that was sort of like this resurgence, right?
Is that a better table tennis than the Racket Fury?
We
tried both.
We run VR fitness summits, so I try not to choose too many favorites, but I can tell you that I play 11 table tennis frequently myself. Okay, and I think it's made my real life game better.
I haven't tried the other one, so Racket Fury, I'll try it. I break a sweat, and I actually think the feel is. I'm pretty good at table tennis, so like I was like, I felt like I was getting better at table tennis while I'm playing the thing.
So this came up in the last panel. That is super legit. There was this research study, I think it was out of Australia, that said if you played 11 table tennis or Racket Fury, your table tennis game actually improved.
Nice.
So I want an app that I was a good tennis player, but returning serves has always been sort of my like I have this fear factor in. I would love something that's actually serving at a legit speed at me so that my reaction time's right. Like, I actually think that is, there's so much potential in VR. I think we'll just get someone to
a bit of a sidetrack story. So Roman is one of the developers behind 11 Table Tennis, and he just liked table tennis himself.
Yeah.
And he posted on Reddit one day, like this demo he just made in Unity, right? But it blew up on Reddit, and people were like, I'd pay money for this, to help improve my table tennis game. And he's like, okay. So he just releases like the short demo on Steam. And then like here he is 4 years later, like that's on Quest, like there's thousands of players.
It's his business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's way cool. And so
when do you guys think we're going to see the first $1 billion VR gaming business? So that is the moment that we hit mass market.
Well, this links back to your question about volume, right? Numbers of people. Like right now we're at maybe 10 million. And once we get to a number, let's say 100 times that, you might be looking at your $1 billion number. But we're still a ways.
I think it might be a little sooner than that. But I'd say 50x from where we are, we have a couple $1 billion gaming businesses. Like I think that starts to just happen where, Yeah. One of my predictions for the next 10 years is I did. Some people do this thing, but I did this thing where you measure the top companies by market cap in the world every 10 years for like the last 70 years. And it goes from like automobiles to oil to data and I think that the future is going to be gaming. So I actually think that I think the top 5 of the top 10 companies in the next 10 years by market cap are going to all be gaming companies. That's my bet.
That's hot take 3.
What?
That's hot take number 3. I love it.
Hot take. Well, I give you 3 hot takes.
Yeah. I think gaming this year is like $150 billion market, right? Yeah. And then, so we got about 3-4 more minutes here because we got our next panel here soon. But we've had Joey in the chat. I know Joey's run Outer Limits VR. He's seen a ton of stuff happen. Outer Limits I think has switched more to gaming this year, right? But he also mentioned that he did Archangel at TwitchCon. So there's something magical about that experience. But as we have a few minutes here, we've chatted about like investment and VR and the future of VR esports and athletics. Like for people who are going to watch this later, what would your main takeaway for them be?
When it comes to investment,
I guess that's the Adam question. Or just closing statements, I guess is the word.
At the end of the day, we're still in the fun phase of VR, right? Like we don't know what good is. We don't know. We haven't discovered like all that there is. We haven't gotten to that point where it's like, if I move the button here, I make 10x the money or whatever. Like we haven't gotten to this phase where it's like a science. We're still in the art world, right? And we need more like artists trying things with movements and inputs and outputs. And like, I think the great things are yet to be discovered, basically.
Oh, for sure. We're still like in baby days. Like our game came to be because we had access to a Vive early, right? And still so many people haven't played VR, let alone started developing for it. So the more people that play it, the more people have access to room scale, to being amazed by the possibilities, the more people have the chance of actually creating some amazing stuff. So the future is still amazing. There's still so much to be done. Like we're still working out how to move in VR. We're 5 years into commercial VR and we still don't really know how to do it. But we're having a lot of fun exploring that.
Completely. No. And so, yes.
Yeah, I think those moments are yet to come because I remember, I was in the Boost VC basement when I saw Swan in the mixed reality video. She was just on one of our panels, right? And there's going to be more moments like that in the future. That are just mind blowing. So.
Oh yeah, and marketing like that also is just so good. Like it's good. When VR will have made it is like when those things aren't a big deal. That's right. Like where these marketing videos that are like, did you see that thing? It's just like common.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't call it VR. We'll just call it sports. Like space power training is going to be like talked about like basketball, like, oh, are you going to the arena? Like,
yeah, totally. Right. Like the high school league for space powered arena.
Yeah. You play javelin or like, arena. And it's like, well, yeah, playing arena. We're at the arena,
That's how we saw sports in 2018. We couldn't do anything else but play arena. And we're pretty certain that some year coming soon, that'll be a reality too.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm so excited for that.
I can't look at a tennis court. I cannot look at a tennis court and think of tennis anymore. Like you're talking before about improving your backhand. Like we spent so much of 2018 and 2017 on tennis courts playing arena that I can't see it being anything else other than a perfect VR space.
Makes me so sad and happy at the same time.
Sad and happy is a good thing for 2020.
Well, if you could find a tennis court, start reserving.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like start to just buy up all those like blanket land masses that aren't being used for much. Like go get the basketball courts and the baseball fields and anything that's big enough.
One of the funny side effects of work from home is that there's a lot of office space out there right now.
Oh my gosh, you going in right now, you would be the savior of commercial real estate.
New York, Manhattan.
you'd be the hero for the party. That industry is having a tough time. They're going to innovate. See, what I do love about my job is like I get to see people when their backs against the wall and see the creative solutions they end up coming up with. And like that's when the greatest things are created. Honestly, like it's always when everyone's backs against the wall, the industry's, basically the person says, "Do I still believe?" And if yes, they go. And it's just done. Like they've figured it out already. And like it's all like I get to see the big spark happen. That's my favorite part of my job.
Cool stuff. All right. Well, the VR Fitness Summit, one more day. We got a few more panels today. If there are any cool new VR experiences, fitness, gaming, otherwise, like I want to talk. So that's something I should probably plug. I always forget to plug something. I would love to talk to anyone who's building something amazing. Oh, for sure. We'll send them your way. Follow Adam on Twitter. Also check out Boost VC. Chris, they can always find you on Twitter as well. iLusions, you got some cool projects. I think a snowboarding project as well.
Yep.
Coming up. So feel free to just, follow all that. We'll record this, post this later. And we got one more day for the VR Fitness Summit. So, Adam, we got the TribeXR after party, another company that you invested in. And Oculus Venues tomorrow. So the after party's tomorrow, and it's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. All right.
Bye. Have a good night.